Hello everybody, today we are going to decode the detective notes for Cluedo. I'm sure many of you have played the game. The basic thing is everyone will ask a question around the circle and you ask the first person to your left and they will for one of three items. If they have any, they have to tell you, and this is how you solve the problem of Cluedo. So very quickly, I'm going to do this in JavaScript because it's slightly easier than some of things to get up a window. So here goes. I'm actually going to do it in a single HTML file. So just for the sake of a bit of lays head, oh, forget the HTML. Why am I getting all these tabs? Oh, yep, I've got a brand new install of Vim, so I'm not completely sure how it's going to behave in some circumstances. I think I can survive with a wide tab for now. HTML head, close head, body, close body. Oh, that's where that's went wrong. Okay, we need that, and here we need something else. We need a meta, don't we? We need to tell the computer that this is going to be Unicode. Car set equals UTF-8. Okay, that should give me everywhere I need to put stuff. I'll put my script down here, but I'm actually just going to put it back here so I can work a bit closer to the edge. I realize it's slightly dodgy, but that allows me to put stuff in. And at the beginning of the game, we're obviously going to have a choice of a number of weapons. So I'm going to define those here. B cards, basic cards equals and in here we've got a list where we've got the people, murderers. What should we call them? Probably just people, actually. And that's going to be an array of string containing names like Scarlet, White, Mustard, etc. I won't bother with them all right now. We'll comma that. We also have weapons. Rope, dagger. Give me another weapon. Lead pipe. And the last thing we need is the rooms. And the rooms will hold, well, we've got the ballroom. I remember that one. It's been a while since I've actually played the game. This is just a project I've wanted to do for a while. So ballroom, hall, and there's at least one other room I can think of. Study, that's a room in this game, isn't it? And no comma after that one, so we're at the end of that list. So what I want to do for this game to make sure the detective notes, I want to make sure it's quite inclusive. I want this to hold all of the information we can do. So I'm not actually just going to allow you to tick one when you find them. I want you to be able to make them work. I want you to be able to say, well, this person asked for this, this and this, and this person responded, and of course that will say that we know everyone in between doesn't have those things, and the person who responded has at least one of those things. And then we can use those later on if someone else asks another question, or if something else has been narrowed out. So in the body we're going to need a few things. Let's have a new game button. Tell you what, I'll put new game stuff in a div. Class equals wrap. It's not that important, it'll just help us to see some of the stuff if we've got that in a div. And then we'll have a button which says select. We need a number of players. Select equals ID equals cell num players, and we'll close that. And here, after selecting our number of players, well, we need to actually give them a number of players. So options, they're up to 6, but I've only got 3 things here. Value equals 2. There's not much point in having a 1-player game. 2 option. Okay. There we go. We'll do this down. There are faster ways of doing this, but if I R3, JR4, R5, R6, we go along here, R6, R5, R4, R3. We don't need that one. We do need a button, so button on click, capital C? I don't think so. Equals new game, and we'll define that in a minute. New game. I think that's correct. We can test if it's correct. I should have Firefox. If I refresh the screen, I've already opened it up, so we now have a button and a selecting. Doesn't do anything yet. In fact, that's going to complain if I Control-Shift-I. Brings up the console. I'm surprised there's not actually a thing, but if I click on new game, there should be a warning. There you go. New game is not defined. So it's tried to call a function called new game. It doesn't exist. Oh. Not quite sure what happened there. Ah, interesting. I use those buttons on Linux to change screens. That's not what I wanted to do there. Okay. So, we've got a place for new games. We'll have a definition of everything we need to store in a new game. We're also, when we create a new game, going to need to make all of the buttons. The nice thing about having this stored here is that we can generate all of the buttons from scratch. So I guess we'll make that as a priority. We'll make the window area first. So div, this one class wrap. I just like to do this because it'll help me to see the outlines of everything. Select button. Nope, we don't need the select right now. We need a div to actually put all of our options in. So we'll have a div which is called that needs an ID. ID equals events. We'll call it events. This is where you can put the requests when you ask them around the circle. So, and it's div events, and that's the end of the events div. And I'm not going to put anything in there because that's going to be generated with a new game, but we do need a button for with an on click of add event, and we'll call that add event in the button. So that's another function that will need to be defined at some point. Let's define that now, and function add event. So with a few more things like that, the new game exists. We've got, let's have a place to put our game that we can always refer to. It's going to be a bit lazy for that, but the game equals null, and then we'll fill that from new game. So when we get a new game call, the first thing we need to know is how many players there are. So num players equals how many players do we have? That's however many. Document dot get element by ID cell num, oh, that needs to be in string, cell num players dot value, and this will be a string because it's always string. So if we pass int on that, then we've got a number of players. Next question. What are we going to do with all of that data? I guess the first thing here, we're going to actually need a function to create our options menu, because we're going to create as many options menus as there are different kinds of things, different kinds of cards. So there are people, weapons, and rooms. We need to create one for each of those, and it will hold all of the options for each of those. So we'll make a thing that creates an options thing, and it will take a name. Yes, function make select, and this will take an ID and an array of contents, array of values. And these values can all be fed in. So the first thing we do then is var cell equals document dot create element, and the element we're going to create is a select semicolon. But doing a load of programming in Go and quite enjoying the lack of semicolons, so having to think a bit hard about moving back to Go to JS here. We've got a select element that's going to have an ID, cell dot set attribute ID. I think you have to put that in quotes, don't you? And the attribute we're going to set to the value of ID, semicolon. Then for var I equals 0, I is less than values dot length, semicolon I plus plus. So a basic for loop. We're going to go through all of the values, and we're going to create an option and stick it in cell. So cell No, we need to create a new thing then. Var, what's it called? P. What kind of thing is it? It's an option, so we'll call it op. Op equals document dot create element select. No, we're not creating a select, we're creating an option. Semicolon. And op's going to need a couple of properties. It's going to need a value and it's going to need some internal text. So op dot inner HTML is actually just going to be straightforward text, but this is the easiest way of chucking that in there. Values at I. Op dot set attribute value values at I, semicolon. And so that gives us the power to make one of these from just an array. Obviously we need to add the op to cell, so cell dot add child, probably add child. We'll see how that comes up. It might be add child node or something. The add child we're going to add is op, semicolon. Save that. And it'll be the same thing we do here. This is the event area, so var event ev area equals event area add event, no, make select, nope, equals document dot get element by ID, and this time it's div events, and that's all we need there. So ev area dot, now actually if we click new game sometime and some of these things have changed, maybe someone has changed the cards we're using, so I actually do need to empty the ev area. So we'll do it the lazy way. I don't want to use jQuery because I want this all to work from a single thing, so it's just while ev area dot has child nodes. That's a function which returns a nice boolean value, so we can just keep asking if it has any. Ev area dot remove child ev area dot last. Now is last a function? Last child. It's probably last child. I should probably check these things. Any of these will complain about when we actually run it, but for now we'll ev area. Oh, what have I just hit? No, I want to add it here. Ev area dot add child, and the child we're going to add is, it's going to be a new make select, and what the ID will be cell. Aha! Well, we don't know how many of these we're going to have, so we know for sure there are, well, we know there are 3 here, but I'm going to have to for loop through these. For I in, no, for P in. This is another nice little for loop feature. P in B cards, semicolon. That's not a semicolon. That's a squiggly brace. Inside the squiggly braces, we need to use ev area dot add child make select. And now it's going to be quote SEL, and I'll put an extra letter on there so we don't get any collisions with the generated ones, plus B plus P, because that's the name. P is the first, is the value, is the key that we're using here. To grab, and the second parameter here is the array, which is held at B cards P. Close the brackets, close that bracket, semicolon. We'll get rid of that, and now when we click new game, let's go, let's find the program, Control R. So the add event button is always there, but when we click new game, inner HTML is not a function. No, of course it's not a function. Inner HTML is actually just a property, and I keep treating it like a function. I think in jQuery it is a function. So get rid of that X, and then switch back to the window, Control R, new game. Add child is not a function. That's fine. I think I said that that might not be a function. I think it's add child node then. Probably remove child is remove child node as well. Node. There's at least another add child here. Node. Oh, come on. Save. Control R. New game. Add child node is not a function. Ooh. Let's just have a quick peek on the interweb and see if we can find out how to add a child. JS, how DOM add child. Append child. Sorted. Okay. So back to where we were. Let's do it as a replace, because I can't remember where I've put it. %s add child node becomes append child. Ooh, child, and we'll do a GC just in case there's somewhere that's not what I want. What? Colon. %s. Dunno. Add child node. Append child. GC. There's the first one. We'll say yes and yes. Oh, that was just the two of them. Good. So now if we do this, we're probably going to have the remove child problem somewhere on. And append child is not an object. What did I do there? I'm not quite sure what this is saying here. Append child is not an object. Argument 1. That makes more sense. Make select doesn't do it. Oh, that's the thing I forgot. Return. You're gonna return what you create, haven't you? Don't forget to return stuff. Control R. New game. There we go. So now we've got the 3 lists: scarlet, white, mustard, rope, dagger, lead pipe, ballroom, hall, and study. So they're the 3 options that we have available because of the list of cards. We also need a thing for whoever's choosing. So who's going to be choosing? I don't know who's going to be choosing this one. Someone is going to be choosing this one. Oh, we can make another select thing from the options if we make a list of players, which we actually need anyway. So can we have a variable called new game inside here? Maybe not a good idea. Game equals wiggly brace, close wiggly brace. What do we need in here? Events, that's an empty array, so all of the events so far, because we need to keep track of all of the events we've got. Events, and that's an empty list. We have an array of facts, also an empty list, and we have an array of people who are playing the game, which will store all of the, which will be where we calculate all of the evidence into. So we'll just call that people, no, players. So I can separate that from, you know, the murdering types who are part of the game. So we've got this array of events, players and stuff. Give that a semicolon. Oh. Semicolon. That shouldn't be tabbed out. Does this think this is Python? Alright, fine. I'm going to give you squiggly braces to make you not want to Pythonize my code. There, game, events, fact and players, and we're going to add all of the players for our M players, and then we can create the two lists we need for who asked and who didn't ask as well. For I equals 0, I is less than M players, I plus plus, squiggly brace, close squiggly brace. There. In here we need game.players equals at I equals a new empty array. We'll also have an array out here there, and this is just a short-term players, and that's also going to be an empty array, which we're going to fill here too. Players at I equals I. So then we have a nice tidy list, and we can send that into the append child system here as well. For EV area, that's the events area, dot append child make select, and this one will be cell asker. And the asker, the list of people who can ask are obviously the people who are playing. That's players. Close, close, semicolon. Oh. And we'll put another one under this list where we've made all of those, because we actually want one for asking the responder. Responder. And if we run this, you get an empty thing. But now, oh, there is a complaint there. New game is not defined. Oh, there's a colon missing after a property ID. What line is that on? 52, line 52. Aha, yes. Events, colon players. That colon would make a lot more sense there. That's probably enough to fix this. Hit new game. So we've got these all. We've got a list of 0 to 3. That's our 4 players, and we've got a list of 0 to 3 who can answer the question. And we have our various implements of doom here. So with those few things in place, we have definitely made... Every time I hit escape, this computer makes a beep. It's not terribly handy in Vim, which you kind of use escape an awful lot when you're coding in Vim. Anybody remind me what I was doing next? I got a challenge here. I got to I got to respond to the add event thing by actually adding an event. And then once we add the event, we need to go through and put them all in data, and then we also need to have a thing that will get that out. So shall I make a bunch? Shall I make a little file? Let's tab edit to-dos. No, I'll just do it at the top of the page actually. The top of... Oh no. Doesn't work at the bottom. Let's go at the bottom. This is our to-do area. So the to-dos we've got to actually do, so I can always just come down to the bottom and find these. I need to make it so that I can add, respond to the add event. We need to calculate any changes. We need to display like a table of everything we know. We could also do with a way of adding straight up facts, because if you've got cards in your hand, you already know them, and if someone actually gives you a card, it's fine. If you're watching someone else ask a question, you don't get to see the card, but you still need to learn stuff. But actually, if you ask the question, you need to know what else has happened. So that's a straightforward fact adding. So we need a means of adding fact. I have this card, he has that card. Fact add system. That was why we had the fact array at the top. I knew there was a reason for that. Okay, so first we'll do the respond to the add event. Now we have a function here in place ready to do that. We've got to go through all of our weapon things and ask what's currently selected. We've got to ask who did it, who did do it. So who asked the question? There, asker equals document.get element by ID, and the element we're going to get by ID, cell asker. That's why we try to give our things sensible names. Dot value, and I'm going to put that in bracket here and go back to the equals, because the thing I forgot to do was pass int. That is going to be an integer. And the asker responder see word responder. Is that what I called them up top? He's hoping that's what I called them up top. The next thing we need to do is get all the other things. And that's going to be in a for loop, but we need an actual array of cards. Response cards, asked cards. Ask cards equals and that's an empty array because we're going to fill it with a for loop. For p in p cards. No, it's not p cards. What did we call that thing at the top? B cards. Okay, I think that should have a capital C. Why? Oh, that was the base cards. Okay. So B cards and it's just a string. We don't need to take anything out of that, so we're just going to have a list of the all the cards that have been asked. Throw it into an object and add that to events. So it's gonna be ask cards dot push document dot get element by ID SELC underscore, that was sell cards underscore something else. The name of the thing, which we found was P dot value, which is the selected result, and then we're pushing it, so that's the close brackets on there, and then events. No, it's this game. That's something I never did on new game. I haven't had to worry about that so far. In new game we were supposed to create a new this game, so it's, did I call it the game? The game. The game. The game equals you know what, this can just be the game here. Okay, and so now we've created the game. Asker. Here we can have the game dot events dot push, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a new object here which has Asker. Come on, Asker. Respond. No, we'll write the full word here. And ask cards. I could have thrown them all in a single thing at the beginning. I guess the only place I wouldn't was there. Ask cards. Close the squiggly brace. Close the cut. There we go. So now we've added an event. I'm actually gonna console.log on the events to see that they've been added. Game dot events. We can, the log on this is pretty cool actually, so we should be able to find the last event and work with that. If this has all worked properly, then a Control R, new game, Let's choose player 1, asked for white with the dagger in the ballroom. Player 3 responded, add event. The game is null. But no, the game shouldn't be null, did I? Oh, I checked. That was a dumb move of mine. I reckon I forgot that when I was making it small, I defined it as a var, and of course that means it's not going to write over. So, get rid of that. Control R. New game. Add event. Here we go. Here's our array. Our array contains one object, and that object has asked cards. Let's have a look at that. That's got Scarlet Rope and Ballroom. That's the 3 we asked for. And it also has an asker of 0 and a responder of 0. That's everything that's set there. So if we change this here, ask for 3 white, dagger, and this time 2 responds. Add the event. We had a new object here, so that's the first object. Here's the second. Now we have white, dagger, ballroom. That's the 3 things that we asked for. Responder of 2 and an asker of 3. So that's perfect. We've at least got the objects in the correct form. It's all progress, isn't it? I don't even know how long I've been recording this. I think I'm going to take a quick break here. I will get back to you after a break. If you want to see how the rest of this is done, check back in for the next video.